Oh, howdy guys, how's it going? So today we are out here to do our overnight field test of our 2024 Altoids 10 survival kit. It is currently 4:04 p.m. so we've got about an hour and a half before it gets dark, and it just has started to sprinkle a little bit. For the actual temperature, we'll check that later, because this little thermometer that I brought with me is in my pocket. And so I took and showed the contents of the Altoids 10 survival kit in a dedicated video, which should be the one that was posted right before this. I will link to it down in the video description. But that is the same tin that we've got. I just had to repack it and tape it, and we'll look at that here in a minute. But as far as what I got with me, I just have on a moisture wicking shirt, and then my Lester River Bushcraft wool anorak. Then I always carry a pair of leather gloves. In this case, I've got a pair of Maroon Bale buffalo leather gloves. I've got my little Sunco thermometer so that we can read the temperature. And since we're going with the scenario of, like, you was out on a hike or you was out hunting, for whatever reason you're in the woods and you're a distance away from where you're at, like, pick one of the hundreds if not thousands of scenarios where you could find yourself out in the woods in the eastern woodlands of the United States, and for whatever reason all you really have is clothes on your back and your Altoids 10. Ideally you'd have a better EDC, and I do have my EDC with me, but we're not going to be using it for this video. I've got an empty smart water bottle with me, to simulate the idea that you was out. I mean, if you're out in the woods and you didn't even think to bring some water with you, which, like I said, at this point we have none, but to have water with you, then I don't really know why you're there in the first place. But we're going to take and make a container and water purification and all that stuff using just stuff in this. But at some point I probably will store water in this, just because there is a very, very good chance that wherever you're at, you're going to be able to find some type of empty plastic bottle or can or glass jar. Because if you're anywhere where people currently travel, hike through, there's bound to be some type of trash. And then I've found, like, especially in the remote and rural places where I go on private land where nobody's been in a long time, I still take and find empty glass mason jars, and it's mainly just empty glass bottles. So the odds of you coming across a container at some point is pretty likely, but we are going to be trying to stick and just use the contents within this tin. Now in the haversack here, I don't have anything that I'm going to be using for the challenge. I literally just have the bag that contains the stuff to recharge the camera and all that, and then this headlamp is the headlamp that I put on the tripod to use for filming, because at night, whenever we're filming the night shots, if you want to be able to see what I'm actually doing, I have to have a external light source for the camera. But whenever I'm going around and collecting things at night, I'm only going to be using the light that we have in our tin here. So I think that pretty much covers everything. So looking at what we know right now, we're just getting on and off light precipitation. It is an 80% chance of just random scattered showers. Once again, we're in the Appalachian Blue Ridge mountain range, so the weather can just be hit or miss. Right now, first priority is going to be trying to find a place to kind of shelter in place, because at this moment I know where a water source is, so that's not something that we have to really scavenge around for. But in the last Altoids Survival 10 video we did, which should be around a year ago I think, we took and built a hasty debris shelter. In this case we're going to do something different, because in that scenario we had more time, let's say, and in this one we don't. So we're going to try to find a place that offers a bit of natural coverage and go from there. Okay, so right here I've found a black oak tree that has took and grew out at an angle towards where the sun is like the most predominant within this canopy. Depending on where you're at and the types of trees that are available, will kind of give you a different array of options of like what you could go with. One of the best that's available year round, because like right now it's fall, so you don't have like a leaf canopy. But a good, you know, coniferous tree normally provides like the best shedding effect because of you know, the way that the boughs and stuff will grow. Right here in this section of mountain, it's pretty much just hardwood trees with a scattered white pine or Virginia pine, but the needles and everything normally just grow towards the top of the trees, because during the summer months, you know, the leaf canopy takes and shades all of the sunlight, so it doesn't really provide that much cover. This is great, so we'll take note of this particular tree, but this is more of just a luck scenario. So with this type of surrounding, I'm looking more towards finding some laurels like this, or something that's grown in a thick patch, because that would be more common in an area of, you know, the eastern woodlands like this. Okay, so I think I found this spot right here, and I got a shot further back, and this has some pretty dang good overhead coverage. Now, the temperature tonight is supposed to get down to around 36 to 30 degrees. The past few outings we've done, the temperature has dropped a decent bit lower than what the advertised forecast said, so I had to take out with a grain of salt. But around us, if it was to get windy, we have a lot of thick brush and growth, plus a hill right here to our left, or I'd say kind of like a rounded off knob. So any wind that would be coming at us would be coming from the direction that y'all are at. Normally it blows from the back end here, so we would have decent coverage. But now we have to decide how we want to like set ourselves up for, you know, a night of just kind of waiting out the darkness. Now, normally, like if you have a debris shelter, or like what we've done, you know, in the past, making a debris bed, that's all and fine, but normally you're not going to be, you know, getting a full night's sleep. And, you know, let's go with the idea that, you know, you're obviously in a less than desirable situation. So we're not going to actually be laying down. Instead, we're going to be going for more of a rest and sitting position. That way, all we have to insulate is, you know, our butt and potentially our legs. But if you sit, you know, crisscross applesauce, you can, you know, take up less area. So it's a lot quicker to make a pile of leaf debris. Luckily, right now it's still, especially under here, that's another good sign, is there's not been any of the light precipitation we've got reach this area. And I'm going to take and try to fashion just a really quick and easy backrest right here. So let's get that situated. And all of these dry sticks and stuff right here that are already here, we can set aside to have for fire making. This is a dead briar, so let me get rid of that. We got a good bit of leaf debris piled up we can sit on, and in this position, I'm gonna, there was just something sticking out. The ground right in front of us here is very lopsided. There's an indentation right here behind me, which wouldn't be a bad place for the fire. I'm gonna take and try to find some dead logs that I can break in order to take and build us up a bit of a backrest to lean against. And we got these two trees right here that we can position those against. It's a bit steep to bring up, but here is something to where we can more or less break off, hopefully where we want it, to a degree. To the base, I'm going to try to break it right here at this. And that did not work. But we got this section right here. Okay, that's what we wanted to break it. And now because we're in this really thick area, I am a bit limited to how much and where I can place the camera, but I'm gonna set that right there is going to be our base piece. We can do now. Oh, that broke. Or I can wedge it in there like that. That actually worked out really good. Okay, yeah, so we want it to at least probably about the top of our shoulders, because right now, just with these two in a leaning position, I'm at the base of my shoulder blades. Okay, so I found another piece that once we lean back here, gives us a perfect place that leads us up right to the base of our neck. Then I took it, I cleared out even more leaf debris, because I decided I do want the fire right here, because I just want to take, after I cleared out more leaf debris there, this just has a perfect indentation already formed. The heat will be right here going to our core area anyways. And now what I want to do is find some rocks, not so much for the purpose of fire containment, but being this close, rocks will absorb heat, and then if you was to knot off, it would, you know, they'll slowly kind of release heat in your vicinity. That's good right now. You know, as always, cameras do not show slope of the ground very well at all, but this right here is actually a pretty steep slope right here. We could gather rocks later, but these right here in this configuration where we're going to be sitting, this is where these will absorb a lot of the heat, and then as they radiate through the rock and stuff, that'll give off warmth for longer. So now it's time to crack open our Altoids tin. Well, yeah, moving around, collecting rocks and stuff, I had to take the anorak off just because I was starting to get a bit sweaty. So now this is, hopefully that's not too overexposed, but this is the Altoids tin. If you saw the video, the only difference is I ended up having to seal this with Gorilla Tape because I could not find my roll of electrical tape. But all in all, we're not even really going to be using that because we are going to be focusing on just using the contents inside the tin. And I know that whenever I take this Gorilla Tape off, it's going to rip the lid off. But everything that was in this was able to fit in, take advantage of the space inside. And if you're wondering, those strips right there on the outside are County Com glow tape. Now, if you don't have something that you can lay the contents of your Altoid tin on, like in this case, we do have our satchel, but technically that's not here. So we're not going to be using that for this purpose. Okay, this strip is actually coming off very well, so this could be a very, very valuable item, but we're not going to utilize that. But we're not going to wad it up. We are going to drape it just in case. I'm just going to go ahead and pop the lid off. So, opening this thing up, here's our contents. One thing that I'm going to need like very, very soon is the aluminum foil at the very bottom. So we're just going to go ahead and dump our contents out here. It would be very important to pick one isolated area where you place any of the contents at any given time so that you don't lose anything. And it's best practice that after you take anything out to just go ahead and put it back in the tin. But now before we go on to fire, we are going to take and worry about water. So like I said, we do have our 1 bottle smart water bottle with us, which I will be filling that up and putting the water purification tablet, because as part of our Altoids tin we do have a way to purify our water regardless of what container you've brought with you or what container you find. So that, in my mind, is really the biggest reason to have, you know, water purification tablets in here. You know, in modern day, pretty much everybody carries around a bottle with them anyways. Like, it doesn't matter if, you know, you're at work, if you're commuting, if you're on an airplane, everybody has a bottle with them. I mean, it's just common practice. So we do have that, but we're going to fashion ourselves a container from our bit of aluminum foil here. In our last Altoids tin video, we used our aluminum foil to make a bowl to cook in. And now with this, we can boil water. So you can take and use this to cook with. It's a good idea to keep this in as large of a piece as possible and to not rip it or break it up into sections, because like with these small tins, you're only going to really be able to use thinner aluminum foil if you want a large amount of it versus that heavy duty foil. And plus, this is the only aluminum foil that I had on hand anyways, but this is just your common household thickness. Size, I didn't measure it, but I'd say we're right under 2 feet long, or right at 2 feet long, and then about a foot wide. You know, I don't think I've done this since we done that last video, but we are limited about how large we can make our container because of the width of this, and you know, have it not leak. So what we're going to do is to just maximize strength, since we are going to be kind of transporting some water in it, is we're going to fold it in half to double it. And we're just going to put our hand in there and kind of see how large of a bowl we can fashion with this. I start to crinkle up the corners and then work the material up and then pinch the corners in the sides. And if there's any origami experts out there, I'm sure there is a better way to do this, but this is the way that I've just kind of always done it. And so you want to work in and keep pinching your corners in and folding them over. So now we have a large bowl that is, I would say, at least 12 ounces, if not around 16 ounces. And that's like what we're kind of going to go off of, is around 16 ounces water, and that's what we wanted. And that's kind of why I stopped at this size, because you could keep going until you form this into pretty much the shape of a pop can. Because as you pinch this up, you kind of start to work these thick sides down. So really the thinnest part is going to be the bottom, but we do have 2 layers of aluminum foil. So okay, and walking down to the creek here, this is actually what might look like a really good place that you could get underneath to serve the purpose of where we're at. But this is actually a very well established small game trail, so this will be a great place to set up a funnel and utilize the snare wire. Now in my state, snare trapping is illegal unless in, you know, an emergency situation. We aren't going to be setting any snares. I can demonstrate that at some point. Setting, like, knowing where to set the snares is where the skill and knowledge comes into play. But as far as making a snare, it's super simple. You can just Google a diagram and you should be able to pretty much have it down. But yeah, this is just an example of like a place where you would set a snare. Anytime you're near a water source, those game trails are the ones that you might really want to focus on, because all these animals at some point are going to travel through here to access water. So this right here is the deepest part of the creek I can find, and luckily I think it's going to be just enough to get our bowl in. You want to be kind of gentle and just kind of scoop it down. Let it fill up, then support the bottom and the sides. And then bring it up. I'm not seeing any air bubbles coming from the walls or the base of it, so that means we shouldn't have any leaks. So now we would take and carefully transport this back to camp, or if you wanted to, you could drop a water purification tablet in it and leave it here, because we're actually a good, I'd say 75 yards away from the creek. The drips that are dripping right now, I believe, are just coming from where we scooped it out of the water. I'm going to go ahead and fill this up as well. And this is another creek to where, I mean, I would not really worry about just drinking out of it straight, but it's better to err on the side of caution. So I got this back up here. Now I got this set away from our camp, I mean just right out, just about 15 feet. That way we don't run the risk of accidentally kicking this over or stepping on it. This actually looks like we might be about 25 ounces of water, so we should be near a liter. I'm going to go ahead and just drop one full water purification tablet in there. And we'll take note, it's essentially 520, 519, so at 550 this should be good and safe to drink by the tablet standards. And then I'll go ahead and drop one of these in our smart water bottle as well. So now, while that's doing its thing, we're going to take and get a fire going. And then we're just going to be spending our time collecting some firewood. I'm really lucky in the fact that this area right here, there is tons and tons of just dead dry wood that is easy to break by hand. So you don't really need a saw or an axe or anything. Now, like with this Altoids 10 survival kit, I mean, we have a lot of items that we might actually end up not even utilizing, and that is kind of a good thing, because if you find yourself in a situation like this to where you need to continue to move the next day, potentially multiple days, or it could be just a multiple day scenario, being able to stretch out your resources will be very important. So now we're going to take and get out our ferro rod. I'm going to take and use one of the half pieces of tinder, because that should be enough. We hadn't got but just a very, very slight amount of like kind of mist and precipitation. We might end up not getting any more, might get a lot more, who knows. But for right now, we got that, and then we'll get our striker out, fluff it up a bit. But you don't want to fluff up the whole thing if you can help it, just the end of it. That way you have a solid bit that will burn longer. And then we got us a small base area there. And this is a new ferro rod, so we'll just kind of take and get the coating scraped off in a general sized area. And then one strike and we're good to go. With this solid tab, you do want to take and give it a second to get going so you don't smother it. And there we go, we got ourselves a nice strong fire going, no problem. So now I'm just going to take and go around, collect some more wood, and we've got about 15 more minutes until our bowl of water and our bottle of water is purified. So we are past our 30-minute threshold, and it looks like our container has held our water just fine. So now let's take and pick this bad boy up and try to drink out of it. So now if these edges try to separate, that's where water might leak. So let's try making like a strong spout here. So I guess that right there is really the only downside. So I guess if you try to drink it pretty quick, or if you can find the area of the bowl, it might just be that one particular spot. Let's try right here. That worked a lot better. So yeah, I'm just going to take and down this, and then before it gets completely dark, I'll get another bowl, another bowl of water, and set it right here and purify it. And then plus we do have our Propel bottle. But this is more than enough water to sustain yourself with minimal movement. Alrighty guys, well as I showed y'all, we are sitting at about 10:11, 10:12. While I took and had the camera charging, it come a bit of like a very, very light shower. I I had to take and keep the camera while it was plugged into the battery bank inside the canvas haversack, just to make sure, because that's the only time that water could potentially get in to the camera. But just been keeping the fire going and going around using our little Robbie Vaughn V2 light. Like I said, this right here, that's the second click, third, fourth. So the fourth is turbo. This is eco mode. Just doing small things. Like, that's why I've got the red light on, is so, and I'm actually kind of really happy with how visible that seems to be. That way I don't wreck my vision going around, because I'm trying to use the eco mode as much as possible to go around and continue to collect some pieces of wood to throw on here and keep it going. But I probably already showed the one clip. But with the light shower, this area under here has stayed pretty nice and dry. Just a few occasional drops. I doubt you can see it with the red light. Any water droplets that are on this wool anorak is from being out walking around collecting wood. I've had my thermometer set up over there on a tree. It does have that County Com glow tag on it, just to make sure that I don't lose the thing. So we'll walk over there and check the temperature here in a minute. But it keeps coming, just those tiny little periods of very light rain. I don't think that's going to be any problem. One thing I am going to do though is take 2 of these Benadryls because my nose is running like crazy, and they kind of help with relaxing and making you a bit sleepier. So that is one kit item that we can definitely go ahead and use. I got another bowl of water. It's had a water purification tablet in it. The 30 minutes was past. This is still that first bottle of the smart water bottle that we purified. I've just been sipping on it slowly. One thing to take note of though with the Benadryl, any type of antihistamine will cause you to dehydrate quicker. So if for whatever reason you didn't have access to water, probably a good idea to avoid taking any type of antihistamine unless you really needed to for some reason. But like where we're at, water is not an issue whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, right, like I'm curious about what the temperature is, because I mean, sitting close to this fire right here with this wool anorak on, once again, nothing under it, just it's a true classic like performance moisture wicking shirt. It's kind of too warm to sit here for long periods of time whenever the fire first kicks back up, putting new wood on it. And then yeah, with our Altoids tin here with that glow in the dark strip, like when you turn it off, that right there is like the light signature. It's a bit brighter in person than it shows up on camera, but the fire light is actually charging it up, keeping that glow strip charged. Now walking to the one that right there is my thermometer. So I'm gonna turn the light on this thing so that we can check the temperature and see what it is. Okay, so right now it looks like we're sitting at about 40 degrees, which sounds right for the time. So, wet conditions like this and 40 degrees weather can be very, very dangerous. So that's why it's important to have a kit or something like this with you, so that you can see. But like, yeah, the ground was very wet over there, and then as you can kind of see under here, mostly dry. So I'm taking throw some more wood on the fire. So yeah, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's just come another one of those light sprinklings of rain. And this would be a lot different too if you was, if you didn't have on the appropriate clothing. If you was to have on just everything 100% cotton, then you would want to, stay by the fire as much as possible, and hopefully you'd gathered plenty of wood during the day. I gathered a good bit further away. That's the other thing, is during the day while you have light, gather your firewood further away. That way, when it gets dark, and you have just like a minimal light source like this light that I'm using, you can just get stuff close by, and that lessens the risk of you tripping on something or stepping in a hole, you know, stumbling over a rock or a root. But yeah, the backrest works very well. Like, it's really sturdy the way that I got it locked in between these two laurel trees. So really, yeah, I mean, kind of the only thing about this is it's a bit boring. And we'll try a white light for a bit, because I'm just going to be sitting here. I got a good bit of wood, but it has come a bit of a heavier shower now. Still only like very, very minimal water getting through. Like, I don't know how well y'all can hear it or see it. There's actually kind of like a little hole just kind of like right here in front of me where y'all might be able to see. Another thing I think I might have forgot to mention, but these hardland pants, they have a DWR coating, so that they'll also take and with light rain like this will kind of shed it off. But I have had these for quite a while, and it's been a while since I last gave them a good wash and stuff to kind of restore that DWR effect. But they seem to be doing good. But I don't know. I think the camera is trying to focus on the occasional raindrop whenever it passes in front of the sensor. So that's why that might be kind of getting an occasional blurry image. But yeah, that's another one good thing though about like having a wool top focus. And change it back to red. It seemed like the red light, or not. There we go. Yeah, it seems like the red light was doing a bit better. But you know, if you're watching this, then you're probably surely familiar with the fact that, you know, anytime you got something that's 100% wool, maintains around 80% of its insulation value, even if it's soaking wet, on top of repelling light rain. So and something you can do if you have, you know, a longer jacket like this, if you want to keep your pants mostly dry, is you can just get on your knees, pull it over your pants like that, and then kind of sit back on your heels. And then now my anorak and my pants and stuff are covered. And I mean, you can even kind of sleep in this position if you had to or just really needed to. Like, you just lean up against this wall, keep your pants and stuff covered, and just kind of lean against your wall like this. Probably going to have one heck of a crick neck in the morning, but it's something you can do. But for the most part, whenever you're in a situation like this, you're just going to be kind of having those like micro sleeps. And then since we've got such a nice bed of coals developed, we don't really have to worry that much about our wood getting wet, unless it was like coming a torrential downpour. So yeah guys, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Well guys, it is now right at about 3:30 in the morning. Still just kind of nodding in and out, getting up and gathering wood. It just has had a couple more of those little on and off showers and stuff that have come through, but still, you know, sitting real pretty here. And just getting wood and putting it along the sides that have got wet so that it can dry out. And yeah, I mean, overall this really is a comfortable setup, you know, without without joking, like it really is a very viable option for doing a kit like this overnight. I wouldn't want to spend, you know, a week just had to like sit up like this, but I mean, even if you want to kind of maintain, you can just sit up and put your back against that and lean up against this tree. It's another head support. I went and I checked the thermometer, and it's about 39, 38 degrees, so that 36 mark is probably about right. It normally gets the coldest around 6 a.m., 6 to 7 a.m. in the morning. So we will we're going to take and hold out here until first light, because like, yeah, getting cold is not a problem at all. Like I've not even come close to being cold even with a hello. But yeah, even with it getting down into the temps that it is, like I do now, I kind of wish that it was colder, because it might not seem like, you know, that this would be much of a challenge with it just getting down to about, you know, 36 to 38 degrees at the coldest. But anytime you have a fire this size, and if you have on just, I mean, I'm essentially wearing just like a 100% wool blanket around my core and arm area, so it's not bad at all. I think right now we might actually have a decent break in any of the rain or the precipitation, so I'll take and I guess I'll probably check back in with y'all around first light whenever we can officially close this particular video out. Oh, well, good morning, guys. It is just now after 7 a.m. The sun's coming up somewhere, but it is really foggy and super overcast, because I think for the next 3 or 4 days we are going to be for sure getting some more like heavier rain. I've got a new snug pack bivvy we're going to be taking out, hopefully in the rain. But it looks like we have successfully made it through with our Altoids 10 survival challenge. So I know I've been talking about doing this new one for a while, and like I said, there's still plenty of gear in that we didn't use, but we made it through with, you know, minimal gear. And I mean, now I am on the you know, obviously on the tired side, because you're not going to be getting you know, a full REM cycle in doing it this way. But I am going to go over there and drink me some water out of our water bowl that we put our purification tablet in. Alrighty, so it looks like our bowl held our water just fine. Bit of debris in there, but it just adds more electrolytes and a little bit of roughage. That is very refreshing. Because I checked my thermometer, and this morning it's 38 degrees, so we ended up not getting quite down to 36. So yeah, guys, I do believe that is going to pretty much wrap things up. So if you ever find yourself in a similar situation IRL, hopefully this video will come in handy and be playing in the back of your mind. So as always, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, share the channel with your friends, family, anybody that enjoys good old outdoor activities. I will have links to the gear inside this tin, as well as links to the video where I break down everything that's in the tin. I will have links to all the clothing items and stuff that I've wore in this here video, and yeah, just go back and watch a bunch more of the videos. Please feel free to hit me up in the comment sections, thoughts, opinions, you know, ideas, just whatever you feel like typing out in the old comment box. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one very, very soon, and until then, adios.